Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. Welcome and welcome to the broadcast. Of course, this is Roundtable Africa. Roundtable Africa comes on every Wednesday here at Focus on Liberia with me moderating today. I want to say, if you have not shared the show yet, please do. We will certainly appreciate it. Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Roundtable Africa. In this edition of Roundtable Africa, we have, as always, a very, very interesting topic for you. Opposition political parties in Africa. I'm excited about this one. I don't know about you. But before we get started, let me welcome the discussant of this program, Roundtable Africa, starting with Mr. Sekou Keller. Sekou, I'm feeling good about this one. I like this one so much. How you doing? Welcome.
I'm doing good. Thank you, Ansony. Thank you for having me. Thanks to our viewers. I'm very, very excited as always to be here. Today's topic is very interesting. Opposition political party. That is not a new language to people. So I think we should go in today and then explain some facts.
Thank you so very much. Also, always comfortable here, seated, prepared to do what he does best. The man Edward Amara joining us from Freetown, Sierra Leone, Focus on Liberia West African correspondent, and he is a discussant here at Roundtable Africa. Mr. Edward Amara, I'm excited. I don't know about you. Talk to me.
Absolutely. I feel elated joining this type of important program, especially when we are discussing about political parties in Africa. I think I feel elated and I'm happy and have to dialect on this particular issue to know exactly why we have political parties in Africa.
Thank you so very much. That is Edward there, a discussant here at Roundtable Africa. And as always, I'm your humble moderator. This edition will be informative, will be juicy, will be educative. If you have not listened to Roundtable Africa before, I guarantee you, this is the one you want to be part of. Let's get started here. Let me remind you, our topic again is opposition political parties in Africa. I'm talking to you Liberians listening right now. You want to know how the opposition political party is doing? You want to be here. Question number one, what is an opposition party? Some of you might say, I know that one. Yeah, you know the name, but you don't know what is in the ingredients that make an opposition political party. Do you know that one? The discussants are here and they'll provide the answers for you. Also, we are asking the question, what are the functions of opposition political parties in African politics and democracy? You want to know? That's the one I'm waiting for. But another one I'm also waiting for, how can political parties ensure good governance and effective democracy in Africa? That's the one that I want. Let it be effective. Let it be participatory. Are the opposition political parties in Africa giving us the meat of this democracy that we want? I'm not sure, but they are here to tell us. Also, what are the challenges? What are the merits? What are the demerits of opposition parties in Africa? This one is juicy. I want to see the merits. I want to hear the demerits. If you want to, join me. Let's do this here. And finally, what are the effects of opposition parties on African politics and democracy? Are they making anything? Are they making any change to promote for us to celebrate the democracy? Well, let me not bore you with a lot of introduction. Let me bring the discussant in here. They are all set to handle business. As always, I get in the middle to get the ball rolling. Edward, let me start with you. Our first question here. But before I can give you that question, there's something I must read for all of us here, gentlemen. Let's go to the history a little bit. Let me read this for all of us here and pay attention, folks. It said, in Africa, in the early years of the post-colonial period, the newly independent countries became one-party states. They banned opposition parties and blamed multi-party system for undermining national unity. This kind of situation prevailed in Africa in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. Most of the parties that took political power after independence were liberation parties, which claimed that they represented the will of the people. As a result, the boundaries between a party and a state structure remained blurred, and the party state system became the norm. The repressive rule had a very significant impact on the opposition parties. It led to the absence of legally registered opposition parties in many African countries. In this period, 1960 to 1980s, the only option the opposition group had was armed struggle to topple the incumbent by force. At the end of the 1980s, the end of the Cold War brought many changes to Africa. This change was visible in the 90s. The new democratization wing gave rise to the flourishing of multi-party system in the continent. Wow, great piece of history there, gentlemen. Let me bring you back, Edward. Before we get to the questioning, let's go back into history. What you make of that piece of history there?
Then that is a fantastic presentation. He just submitted everything. You see, it is crystal clear that prior to our liberal democracy that came into the late or the early 1990s, all those parties that assumed power just after independence, they were termed as liberators or freedom fighters because they came to liberate the African leadership from the shackles of colonial mentality or imperialism. And so they decided to advance, or they were the proponents of one party state, saying that in one party state, the myth was that there could be unity, there could be a judicious utilization of the natural resources, and even the human resources can easily be put together and fight for one national unity. And they also say that if you form a political multi-party system into a new democratic state, it is definitely going to to lay the state on a volatile situation where people will come with different opinions, and the unity that they are seeking to get, they will not come with it because everybody will come with a divergent view. At the end of the day, they may see that they would have a chaotic, if not a volatile situation. So these were some of the things, and that was the exact thing that they started to doing. By the end of the day, we saw that these parties become so draconian, some of them become dictators because that is the system of one party system. If you allow one party to keep on being in power, they can easily become glued to you and they assume that the power given to them are their own, and they think that it is about inheritance. When when a father died, the son assumed office, and it ended up destroying everything that they had actually wanted to fight for.
Sekou, that piece of history.
Yes, thank you very much. What you just read, I think it just summarized the evolution of democracy in post-colonial Africa. So what happened was that the Liberating Party, the founding fathers of modern African states, they were faced with some unique challenges. They found that, look, we just had independence from our colonial masters. So we don't want political sabotage. We don't want people to come and then you be using people to destabilize our state. So one party system will work out, we unify the nation, we unify the people, then we can evolve into multi-party democracy. So, but in the process, some of them were also using it as an opportunity to oppress other voices in the country. So multi-party democracy proper began in the 90s, but where many African states began to adopt it. But we don't know whether the transition was natural or it happened due to external influences. For me, I would say it happened because of external influences, not because of proper revolution. That's why the multi-party democracy itself became a curse.
Thank you so very much. One exception of the many exceptions that might be is the case of Liberia. In Liberia, the party that took over Liberia was the True We Party for the most part. It was not a liberation kind of party, unlike many other African countries, that when they took power, they came with this liberation parties, or through these liberation parties that became so draconian. As Edward said, they were so suppressive, and their fear was that they wanted to make sure that the states were unified. One thing I remember in the piece that I just read was they felt that they had a way of the people, because during the colonial period, They were the one advocating for independence. They were the one preaching independence. So the people were behind them. So when they finally succeeded taking over from the colonial powers, and they felt that, well, we have been the one talking for you, so it has to be us. And when other forces among their ranks and file were trying to bring about dissenting opinion, they said, no, that is not necessary. Now we are one. We all should be speaking with the same voice, you not. So they went after them, and that's what happened. But fast forward in the 1990s, for the most part, multi-party democracy started flourishing in most of Africa. So that is why we brought the topic today, opposition political parties, because in the absence of a vibrant opposition political parties, the democracy that we want, that should be participatory, where there should be dissenting view, it will not be what it's supposed to be. On that note, let's get started here with our first question here. So, Edward, the war is being, or these wars being thrown around so much, right? Opposition party. What is an opposition political party? Let's hear it for what it is and not what people think it is.
Thank you very much. I think when we talk about opposition political party, to oppose is to go against. To not to be in favor of a particular sentiment, belief, or ideology, or a particular philosophy. And a party is a unity of people that come together to seek for a particular interest. So it comes down to Africa. When we talk about an opposition political party in Africa, we talk about a registered, recognized, renounced, and formidable force of people who have fixed ideology, philosophy, or belief on how a particular country should be governed, or should be ruled, or should be handled affairs. But those particular people are definitely not in power. Another person is in power, but they have a contrary view, philosophy, belief, or ideology on how this particular country, a regional body, a state, or whatsoever thing, how it should be governed, contrary to the one that is definitely in power. So when we talk about opposition political parties in power, we tell about independent people who are registered, they are constitutionally recognized, it's a legal body, and they have the full power to function effectively and efficiently and to participate into any type of governance system, but who have different ideology from what the ruling party is, but they are definitely not in power. That is the common philosophy or ideology, or the definition of a common of opposition political party in Africa.
Thank you. Key words there: vibrant, effective, organized within the confines of the law. We can paraphrase you there, and they should be more about the people and not themselves. I can paraphrase you there again. But Sekou, again, the same question, the word opposition party. We hear that word within the whole one, you not empower your opposition. Yeah, that may be true, but that may not entirely be true. There has to be something about you, all right, as a group of people to be considered an opposition political party. So what it is in your own understanding?
Absolutely, I agree with you. First of all, to understand what an opposition party is, we have to define a political party.
Right.
So once we define a political party and you qualify, or the definition fits you, then we can now understand what an opposition is. A political party, in my understanding, is an organization with a specific ideology or policy to govern. And it coordinates candidates for elections. So you have a specific ideology, a policy to govern. Then you coordinate candidate for election. So that's just the second part. That's just the first part. So now when an opposition party is a party that is not in power. They are not ruling at the moment, but they have an opposing ideology or policy to govern. So when they are critiquing the ruling party, they should have an ideology that opposes the ruling ideology, and they should have a policy and a plan that is an alternative to the one that is in governance. So opposition political party is not necessarily because you are not in power, because we have parties that are not in power, but yet they are being financed and sponsored by the ruling party, or they do not have an ideology or policy that philosophically contradicts the ruling party. So you can't consider yourself an opposition just because you are not sharing the national cake, or you are not the one passing around with the SUVs. But do you have a philosophy and a plan that ideologically opposes to the one that is in power? That is the question.
Thank you so very much. And let me chime in here. There's something I have researched that I want to share, which is that political parties should promote a vital competition on policy and ideological alternative. Mark the word, ideological alternative, and play essential roles in a representative democracy. Now, the key words we talk about vital competition that is based on policy and ideological alternative. So when you are an opposition political party, yes, like the ruling party, you must be a political party. But why are you opposing? On what basis are you opposing? And what are your opposition all about? Are you offering alternatives? And are those alternatives based on ideology completely different from what the party in power doing? You have to be that alternative. And again, the key word is ideology. And we use that word freely, Sekou, because people just use words because they hear those words. An ideology is a set of belief that one holds dear and is able to articulate, and not only articulate, that is defined clearly and almost like a shovel-ready kind of program. For example, if you say that the current administration has a pro-poor ideology that is not working, you can make all the noise about it that is not working. I get it. So the thing is, what is your own ideology to move the country forward? And is that ideology perfectly defined? And is it an ideological alternative to that of the pro-poor? Or you just against the pro-poor and you don't have anything to offer? That is what an opposition political party should be. And like they will always say, an opposition is a government in waiting. And you should also not be a government in waiting. You should be an alternative. Let me put it right here. Opposition parties are a government in the waiting, or they are alternative government. So if you are against pro-poor, or if you're telling us pro-poor is not working, you are an alternative government. So let us see. Can we see what you're talking about? How will you be different here? And unfortunately, in Africa, we don't see that. They are all united being against the ruling class, but they are not united on what set of ideology they will be able to apply differently when to come to power. Gentlemen, I'm enjoying the discussion already, but let's get into the meat of the discussion. Folks joining us here, focused on Liberia. We are discussing the opposition political party, and you can find it. You can't find it any other place other than here, Roundtable Africa, where we look at an African perspective of the issues that affect the continent. Sekou, let me start with you this time. What are the functions of opposition political party in African politics and democracy?
You just hit the nail on the head when you enumerated those qualities of an opposition party. There's a difference, like what you were just saying. There's a difference between slogan and ideology. So just create these beautiful slogans during elections. Those are not ideology. Ideology has to cover economic, politics, social program. Okay, what is the alternative? And when you have an ideological belief, it eventually has to produce a scientific, practical program, like a philosophy that you can explain the how, when, and then what. How do you change the country? What will you do? How will you raise the money? What is your own plan in changing the economics around? How will you implement this particular policy? So it's not just because this person has a slogan, you produce another slogan that is different, then that's what we call ideological difference. No, it has to go beyond slogan. It has to be a political, economic, and social plan that anybody can open and read and say, okay, this is an alternative example. We will use America because that's where we get most of our examples from. You have the Democrat and the Republican Party. The Republican Party is a conservative party that is based on certain ideologies. They oppose immigration. They oppose certain things. Their economic policy is a little bit different. They push more on capitalism. Then the Democrats are a little bit kind of social democrats. They push for a little bit of socialism. They like to kind of centralize everything. Even it cover the economy, it cover health. Even the healthcare bill that they passed, they are different. So you can see the ideological differences here very clearly. And when one party takes power, the other one goes on, brings out what we call constructive criticism. They try to look for where the other party is failing, and they inform the population. They educate, inform, and kind of carry out constructive criticism so that they can be able to win back power. But what we have back home, we criticize the dress code of our opponent. We criticize the kind of girlfriends they have. Yeah. We criticize how they look. We are now talking on the issues, the social, economic, and political plans. You see everything. Like, I will give Liberia as an example. All the parties in Liberia, they are all the same. There is no opposition and there is no ruling or party. They all fly together. The Cabinet Janet case will be a very good example. Here is the ruling party trying to protect its interests, and they see a judge that's kind of a threat to their interests. Mm-hmm. And this judge, because he passed certain ruling that favor the current opposition, the ruling party decided to remove this judge. All the other senators in the place that are in the house, they decided to flow along because there were brown envelopes flying around. There was no ideology. There was no principle to tell them that, no, we have to protect the nation. This person have an alternative opinion, and that helps a lot in a democracy. When we have alternative opinion, it's very productive for the society. So we shouldn't have everybody flowing along just like a cult. When the president says everything, everybody flow along. That's a cult, and that does not lead to productive outcome. But they didn't do that. They took the brown envelope and they did exactly what the ruling party wanted. So where is the democracy? Where is the opposition? You see, it's not to go on the street and the radio and be attacking each other. We need to see it in the parliament. We need to see it in the Senate. We need to see it in the way you guys debate the policy, budget, how you pass bills. That's where we see the intellectual debate. That's where we see the ideological differences. How you scrutinize, how the presidency is being scrutinized objectively. That's where we see. It's not to go insult and go on radio and then use foul words, foul language, street language on one another. That's not what the people want. The people want concrete and practical plans that will be able to solve their problem. So opposition political party should be qualified enough to have an alternative ideology and policy that can be able to replace the ruling party. That's what I have.
Thank you, Mr. Edward Amara. I was just smiling all along. Sekou was giving his expose. You are in Freetown, Sierra Leone. The brown envelope thing is a big thing in Liberia. And the situation he just explained, right? So we have the opposition political parties with us. They say they are holding the current government accountable. The current government, through its lawmakers, decided that, hey, we're going to move this sitting associate justice. And the opposition political parties, what is their ideology or how a judge should be treated? They forgot about it. They will tell you they do, but when the opportunity presented itself for them to demonstrate that, those guys succumb to envelopes. So they have no ideology. But let me bring you in, Edward. So what are the functions of opposition political party in African policy and democracy? Because we have to make the democracy work through the politics.
Thank you very much. Politics is like a divergence of different views on how things to be handled. And policy is like the program that you have, an agenda that you have to implement. I want to talk about now an opposition political party, as we are definitely defining it. They are fixed people, registered, legal, and they have the right to function into any operation and democracy. They should be people with a clearly defined agenda. They should have an aim and they should have objectives. That is what they should be. And we expect the functions of an opposition political party to be like our watchdogs. They should make an active governance system. They should be responsible to checkmate the current government operations. They should be there to entertain, enlighten, and even expose the weakness of the government. They should be there to help in the developmental process of any government. When they are saying an opposition political party, your main function is to assume power into a country. That is a goal that you have for. But if you are not in power, that doesn't delete you from involving into democracy. We're expecting opposition political parties to be active parliamentarian members, not backbenchers in parliament. They should be there to oppose the government, but their opposition should be very constructive, not a destructive one. There should be people who may stand against the government and foretell what should not be happening to the country. This should be people, not people who to receive brown envelope or in essence, a bribe. We're expecting people to be of sound mind, adequate knowledge of the country, and they should have constructive program. Their manifesto should be there. Because, as you rightly said, they are an alternative government. They must have a manifesto. We are expecting them to be people who are implementing programs, to be fully involved into campaigning, canvassing, but campaigning for good. They should not be people who are coming to destroy the democracy that we have. They should not be people who could easily involve into private affairs. It is just unfortunate and quite amazing that most of the time you see opposition political parties in Africa behaving like private interest group or private pressure group. We are in the seek for their own interest instead of the interest of the public. We are expecting them to be public pressure group. We are in, they understand that this particular government is manipulated. We are expecting to be people who leak the secret of the government, who put the government on its stool and make the government to be fully responsible for all of its ideology, the philosophies, it manifesto that it read. So we'll talk about an opposition political party in Africa. We tell you that you are an alternative government and the responsibility is to ensure that the government functions and it respects the social contract is signed with its populace or the citizens before ever it could be elected into power. We are not expecting opposition political parties in Africa to be in a concordance position. It is just unfortunate that sometimes I link some opposition political parties in Africa with the way some Christians behave. If something bad happens to them, they blame God. When something good happens to them, they blame God. Then what is the meaning of Satan existing? We are expecting an opposition political party to be somebody who can easily stand and tell the truth, to offer an honest criticism, and to even praise where praise deserves, to even support. We are not even expecting our opposition political party to always criticize government foreign policy for selfish interest. No, if we know that this thing has happened, let it happen constructively. We are not expecting opposition political parties to be people who fear chaos into a country. We are not expecting people who can easily go on radio to offer languages, unseen languages, profane language. No, that is not what we are expecting. It is just unfortunate and quite amazing that each time you see an opposition political party operating into African state, they are doing it for selfish interest. An opposition political party should be a party that operates in the interest of the nation, of the citizen, and it should be there to always checkmate, serve as watchdog into parliament, expose the government malpractices, should not receive bribe, and should not be willing to bribe anyone. They should do it, and there should be programs implementers, educators. They should involve into any type of democratic process into the state. They should not walk out of parliament where they can easily work on parliament where there is necessary, but you always plan to either cooperate with the government on issues that are for national interest or depart from the government on issues that are not of national interest. There should not be people who should come and speak with one voice.
Edward Amara, you couldn't be so succinct there, and I just hope, and I'm still hoping and hoping. I don't know if I'm hoping hopelessly, gentlemen, that I will see opposition political parties in Africa to be made of men and women with balls who stand for something and not just for anything. But what we see quite interestingly is that these people, they are only standing to be ushered into government, even when the ruling class offer them any job. They make all the noise, and we have so many examples. For example, a guy called Meton Tiaje, somewhere somehow left the progressive and came to the CDC in 2005, especially during the second round. This guy said that if Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is allowed to take seat, hair should grow in his palm. But guess what his political party is today? He is a member of the Unity Party. When CDC did not win that election, That guy was appointed by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and he started singing political hallelujah for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. He was appointed as what? A superintendent. He couldn't stand his ground. That is what we see. So you see people living from one party to another. What is the ideology that you read of a particular political institution before joining that political institution? Why are you leaving? Where are you going? What is motivating you from moving from this one political party to the other? It is all about the gravy. It's all about job. And some of them even go as far as registering political parties because they are hoping for what? Government of inclusion, Sekou and Amara. That is what they are waiting for. That is their modus operandi to getting into power. And when they are ushered into government, it's like somebody taking the zipper of the shirt and just zipping it up. You will not hear them say a Jane thing. I know a brilliant Liberian called Louis Brown. When Ellen took over, he was bombastic. Not too long, Ellen ushered him into government. Ellen make him Minister of Information. He became a mouthpiece. All those things he had to say disappeared. But he had claimed then he was advocating for the people. But then he started propagating messages to whitewash the government dealings and blaspheme the people that he claimed he was advocating for. That is what we see in African politics and in our home country, Liberia, gentlemen. And I'm hoping, and maybe I'm hoping hopelessly that these guys will get it together. But we'll see. Gentlemen, let me progress here. Roundtable Africa, where we discuss the issues that matter and going around the continent of Africa. Gentlemen, let's roll in our other question here quickly, and which is this one. What are the challenges, the merits and demerits of opposition parties in Africa? Is there any merits to all these opposition political parties, Sekou? I mean, I just want to know. I'm just curious because these guys, like we said, some of them are in the pocket. Some of them are even conspirators of the very ruling government. So what is the merit and why are the demerits? Let me start with you, Sekou.
Yeah, thank you very much. In theory, opposition political parties are necessary for democracy to function, in theory. But what we have practically on the ground is that these very parties are failing us. They are failing us because the system has been wrongly designed from the very beginning. From the get-go, we got everything wrong. These various political parties that we are not formed based on proper ideology. They were created either through ethnic sentiment, or they were created because of ambition. Certain individuals are just very ambitious and they want to get into power. So they have spilled money, and then they gather a few boys around and they create a party. So there was no ideological reason. There is no socio-economic plan from these people. So from the get-go, you know that these people have nothing to offer. But because they make most of the noise, so eventually you give them a platform to come and to test them. And when you test them, they fail. That's what happened with the CEC. That's what happened with the Unity Party. So there are a lot of challenges the opposition faces in Africa. One is finance. Because usually here in the West, the people finance the party, they contribute. And there's transparency, how the money is being used. There are certain laws on how party money is being used. Back in Africa, most of these parties, when you ask them where they get their funding from, I'm telling you, this darkness. There's no transparency. They get this money from corrupt politicians that are already in power. And when they lose power, they want to come back. So they say, look, while I'm eating, I'm putting my other leg outside in case this other government topple, the other one that's coming, I will be in. We've seen that example with Tyler, former speaker in Liberia. He did that with the CDC. He was still in the government, and then he was playing another card outside. This is what happened. So these opposition parties have problem with finance. It's very difficult. I don't really know how they get money. And by collecting money from corrupt politicians, they cannot be transparent. They cannot be able to function properly. And money make things to go around. Once there is no finance, it's impossible for you to be able to speak, because you can't speak against the person that is financing you. Okay. So another issue is corruption. You see, that's connected to the issue of finance. The challenge, the corruption is very, very deep. It's not just about, money. It's about influence, because you have these parties, they are looking for influential people to be on their ticket. So you will see somebody will come up with a very tinted record, bad record, but just because they want to get closer to power, they just push the person there. There are no values. They don't have any value to protect. They don't have any ideology to protect. So they can allow anybody to come in. You see, you can have parties, someone is having a corruption allegation, is in court. He's here to be, the public opinion against the person is negative. The party will still put the person there to lead because the person has $1 or $2. You can see that in the West. Even there's a rape allegation against you, your party will tell you to resign. These principles, these values are not there. So there are a lot of challenges. So the opposition parties in Africa, I believe, in fact, we have to reduce the number of parties, first of all. I don't know how many parties we have now in Liberia. Is it more than 50? In Nigeria, I think they have 100 plus. And all these parties have nothing to offer. When you ask them, what can you do differently than the party in power? They say, well, let me get there first. So this is the kind of parties we have. We can't even go to their website. There's a particular candidate I want to support in the coming 2023 election. Somebody encouraged me, and I asked them, what's their website? I want to understand their political ideology and their economic social plan and all. They say, oh no, there's no website here, there's no program, but we're planning it. What? 2 years to elect? Few years from now, the person will have to rule the country. There's no website, there's nothing I can read. I said, please, I'm done here. Okay, that means this person is not ready to lead. So all these parties, we have to dismantle them. 2, 3 parties, it's enough. We don't need 10, 20 parties in one country because they have nothing to offer. At the end of the day, this party will become place for ethnic sentiment. They will become place to harbor tribalism and what have you. But when we have 1 or 2 parties, everybody, you are forced to pick one side. And if it is not good, you try to improve it. You try to go in there and then make some changes. But we cannot have parties all around, and then they have nothing to offer. They're collecting money from the opposition party, sabotaging the election system. At the end of the day, we cannot have a very good leader because the little party, they are sabotaging the system, whether you now know it or not. Because if they are sponsored by the ruling party, for example, then they reduce the number of voters. They, at the end of the day, the ruling party stay in power because they are able to control the little parties all around. So, but when we can break it down to 2 or 3 parties, then at least the nation can know exactly these are the people that are ruling. Then they will ask the right questions. They will be able to pinpoint this is the party that is getting things wrong. Then they will know exactly when the youth themselves, they can be able to compare. They'll be able to say, this party is the one that was in power last year. This is the ideology and philosophy. Let's try to kick them out and try these other people. But when you have parties all around, just like market tables everywhere with tomatoes, you get confused. You don't even know who is who at the end of the day. So I think these challenges are what we face, and we need to look into that. Multi-party democracy is good, but it has to be controlled. Anything that is not controlled, extreme of everything is wrong. We cannot just have all these parties keep on registration day and day. We have to control it now in order to build a better future.
Sekou, you couldn't be right, especially you mentioning the issue of funding as a major demerit of the opposition political parties in Africa. You went on by talking about wondering how these guys get funding. There's one example that comes to mind. A.B. Daros Dillon, the guy who they say is the light. I don't know what kind of light he is. This guy, he went to Abochie, who is a member of the ruling party, and he took money from him. And he got money from him. That's how he won the first time. Now, if the political institution he's from have been able to reach out to these members, recruit, educate their people, bring the people in their own fold, and educate them their role as partisans in the role of the party or in the work of the party, they will be able to contribute. They will be able to support the campaign. And to his credit, he ran a little decent campaign here and there. Ordinary people give money, but somehow you think it's little pretentious, for going to the party, you bashing one of the executives to take money from there. There was a huge contradiction there. So the issue of funding is key. It's a huge demerit. So the political parties need to find a way. And look, if you bring the people along, now the CDC might not be an excellent example, all right? But what we saw, it was a phenomenon, right? And this is a fact that anybody can talk about. People were even printing their own T-shirt. Some way, somehow, I know it was the people's own decision. It's not because CDC communicated with them. It was because of the iconic statues of fear that brought them. But what I'm saying is that it happened. The people came to the party. The people felt ownership of the party. So they printed their own T-shirts and all that. I'm saying if all the parties can do that, maybe their members will be able to contribute to their campaign. Then they don't have to work in the middle of the night to get money from the very government they're opposing to run their campaign. That is so much deceptive. Another thing is the issue of value. Now you have Abu Kili, the guy who was, caught for collecting 2 checks from the government. He was not doing the other job. He left the job. But the guy was receiving the check and was using the money. The LSC bought him for doing that. And the CDC said, no, it's okay. The man will put the money back. We'll put him on a ticket. And CDC used that guy. And then we have Bernie Samunka on the side of the Unity Party. They knew the man had some issue with the court. You couldn't find somebody else. But so they don't care about morality. They don't care about optics. They care about themselves. They don't care whether they are setting a good example or bad example. When you are part of their clique, irrespective of what record that you have, they are going with you. And then I'll bring in Edward. Again, don't forget, Edward, we are talking about the merits and demerits. Sekou talk about the only merits is that, yeah, we have many political parties. We need political party to have a kind of participatory democracy. But the true meaning there, we are not there yet. What do you make of it?
Thank you very much. I think let me start step by step. Let us look at the challenges. A lot of political parties have a lot of challenges in Africa. The first thing, there is no plain ground. Because for you to establish a political party into Africa, you need first to be accepted by the government in power. Unfortunately, we have draconian one-party system in places like Zimbabwe, where you have the ZANU-PF party. They do not recognize the existence. We have seen how the late modern Bangon Changarai, he's transferred a lot of time to even establish the movement for democratic change, MDC. It happened a lot of time. So there is no plain ground. The government in power must be accepted. Another thing is that breaking away, there is kind of divided ideology into those people who come in to form political parties into Africa. Most of them, at the end of the day, they can easily be bribed by the sitting government in power. We have seen that because for you to form a political party into Africa, you need to have some of your human resources. Unfortunately, the opposition political parties are open to accepting bribe from government. And most of those who receive bribe from government, they can easily depart from the political, and that party can easily collapse. And sometime again, you have seen opposition parties into Africa. They can you can be as an opposition member, and the ruling party offer you a kind of ministerial position are attractive, but you definitely leave it. And that is another big challenge. And at the end of the day, you have seen that opposition parties are really struggling to establish themselves. Just to crown it on that challenge is finance. We are very difficult because, the constitutions you provide them means where they can generate their own natural resources or can even share the resources of the country as long as it is willing to advertise or do whatsoever thing. And there is no acceptability into African politics because there is no liberal democracy in Africa. As long as there is a kind of draconian mentality, there is no room. So that is why we are seeing those challenges are very, very difficult for them to come into operation. The merit they have a lot of advantages of having political parties into Africa. In the first place, they expose like young people like us here. They help us to expose the anomalies or the nefarious attitudes of the government in power. Because if you do not have an opposition into parliament, you will definitely not know what wrongs or right this particular government is doing. So they help us they educate us, they enlighten the nation, they involve into a lot of other things. So we are seeing one of the merits is that they're helping to keep the government in tool, even though not in that effective way. But half is better than nothing. At least we're having them operation. And they are into operation. So we are seeing that in fact, one of the biggest advantages that in Africa, we have done grown from one stage to another, accepting the fact that we are now under liberal democracy. And if this government fail, another one can easily take place into power. So because of the gossip opposition political parties are involved into, they are even helping the government to become responsible. Because other government have realized that if I fail this, we have seen what happened into Ghana. When John Muhammad government failed, we see Dramani taking over. So these are some of the things. And it's only ruled for one time over, another time take over. We have seen what happened with the PDP in Nigeria when APC took over, All National Congress. Another one took over. So we are seeing that because of the operation of political parties in Africa, we also see what happened in Zambia. When we are seeing Lazarus Chikara now ruling, he was not definitely over there. So we are seeing that the opposition political parties are helping to straighten democracy into Africa, and they are involved into politics, and they are trying to educate, and also they are exposing. They are also helping into the political socialization, and they are helping to bring the youth of Africa. They are trying really to involve Africa into certain things, because opposition political parties are helping to do away with that old adage mentality, because most of those one party system believe in age ideology. Because opposition parties are being formed today into Africa, most of those who are coming, especially the new parties that we're having today into Africa, they're not willing to buy more the ideology of young people. So that is why most of the opposition parties that they're having today in Africa, if you watch at the organogram, apart from from those that established themselves during the days of colonialism or after colonialism, who have a lot of old folks into it, most of the opposition parties now have young people representing them. So one of the biggest advantages is that opposition parties are giving the youth the advantage to be able to represent themselves. Though sometimes we can easily be called upon the platform of table, our voice we can easily table our voice, but they cannot jump from one table to another. But at least they are giving us the light that there's a kind of silver lining behind in that cloud. Opposition political parties are definitely establishing that. When it comes down to the demerit, a lot. We have seen that what opposition political parties create into Africa is a lot of damage, and those damages have not been able to be amended. Let's take a moment. When Africa, when we assume independence, it was our thought, or the thought of our forefathers or the Pan-African, is that everything should be united and we should fight for a kind of unity. When opposition came, you may see that the same ideology that happened during the opposition, during the colonial days time, is the same thing that is happening today, because we wanted to have a United States of Africa, but it is because of the existence of opposition political parties in Africa, the United States of Africa is no longer going to be created, or it's a dream that is far-fetched, because we have opposing views. Take a common example. Sierra Leone became independent on the 27th July 1961, but we have the SLP, that is the All Sierra Leone People's Party, and we have another APC, All People Congress. The APC have a kind of radical mentality on how Sierra Leone should achieve independence, but the SLP want a memorandum of understanding. So while they were busy signing the peace accord, how Sierra Leone should become independent on the 27th April 1961, we have another opposition party forming into Sierra Leone. So there was a kind of change in ideology. And one of the disadvantages that because of opposition political parties, we have seen that there is a lot of nepotism, because politicians no longer trust themselves, and they believe that the best way they could reward themselves is to kind of come with uneven development. It is because of the existence of opposition political parties. Take an example.
What is going on there with Edward? All right, folks, bear with all here. There is a connection issue there at the end of Mr. Edward Amarai. He will join us very quickly here. Don't worry about that. Again, folks, you are watching Focus on Liberia. I'm Ansony here moderating. This is Roundtable Africa, where we look at the issues that are happening on the continent of Africa. And today we are looking at opposition political parties, what they should be, and then why you think they are, what they should actually be, are the issues that we are talking about. And Sekou, earlier you made a point that you asked somebody, you were thinking about supporting a particular candidate, and you were trying to ask for the person's website to read. Maybe you will find some things that will convince you to make a decision and say, oh, they're working on it. Why are you working on? We have 2 years to election. And Sekou, the thing that is I'm not getting is that we Liberians are so close to Americans. When Obama was running, we have the Democratic Party. It has a website where you go, you read about the Democratic Party's plan. And then you will go to barackobama.com to read about Obama's plans. Now, in Liberia, it's a different ball game. It is even difficult to find a party having a functional website. Before talking about even the candidates, we have 2 years to elections. We have big names. Omen Joseph Yuman Boaka, I guarantee you, tell right now and say Joseph Yuman Boaka.com, you will get 0. Tell right now and say elliscummings.com, you will get 0. I'm going to check right now, and I want to be proven wrong. elliscummings.com, now I go to GoDaddy, and yeah, it is. This is a brother who lived here. He saw the thing, and he said he carrying it to our people, and he can't even do it. But when you criticize, then Sekou, they say, oh, how many person going to go on the website? And you say you want to practice democracy? Let me check again. Let me check to Omen Boaka. I mean, sorry for the word, Omen. Joseph. All right. Joseph Boaka.com. Joseph Boaka.com. Joseph Boaka.com. I hope Boaka will get this thing, man. 0. Go josephboaka.com, 0. elliscummings.com, 0. georgeweah.com, 0. Any of them name you put in there that are running for president, you will not find anything. And sometimes when I criticize these people say, but what's this guy? What do you want now? I want the best. And that's why they're not giving to us. Do you not want the best? Gentlemen, one comment, 1 minute each from you guys, and then we can bring in our callers here. Now our callers, the comments. So Sekou, comment on that. I mean, why are these people treating us like that? Why are they making this thing here to be what it's supposed to be and not what they think?
The truth of the matter is that these people do not believe in the people. They do not believe in the country they want to govern. They only want that courtesy, that prestige of being in power and also getting wealth. You know, sometimes it's not just, it can be conscious, it can be subconscious. Because if you are in tune with this generation, you should know very well that this is a generation of internet, generation of social media. You should quickly connect with it.
What's happening at your end too, Sekou? What's wrong with this internet, folks? The discussion.
Oh, it's happening to all of us?
Yeah, but go ahead. So we can hear you.
So this generation, we want to go on the side, we want to read. We know what Marxism is. We know what Lenin is. We know what capitalism is. We know what socialism is. We know what a Pan-African socialism is. What's your ideology? What's your social economic plan? And we want to see your foreign policy. We want to see how you will deal with this issue. From there, the word, the language, and the way in which you are going to present your case, the younger generation will look at it and say, this man has a plan for us. He has a plan to move us into industrial revolution, or he has a plan to build infrastructure. Or this guy here, I think his policy is mainly going to be focusing on education. He wants to change the culture of this country. But we don't know exactly what you want to do. You just want to build bridges in the desert. That's the kind of belief you want to give us. And then we elect you. Then you say, oh, the desert, why? I never knew. And it was like this. Like, seriously?
That's
like change for hope. What is change for hope? I used to ask people, what is change for hope? What does that mean? Nothing. So this is the same thing I'm saying. They are not connected with us. They are not connected with the future generation, and they have no vision. They don't believe in the nation they want to govern. When you believe in something, your attitude and your action shows it. They don't believe in the country.
Thank you. And Mr. Amara, very quickly, I want to know how many political parties, if you know, or give us an estimate in Freetown, Sierra Leone, and have you checked any of the candidates to say, well, this candidate.com for you to see a website for you as a young person to read? I mean, they're all making noise, and that's what it is.
Well, unfortunately, I have seen political parties into Sierra Leone. They have what they create Facebook account, but they don't have a particular website. You may see them with Facebook
What a
account.
joke. What a joke.
Yeah, it's a solid stupidity that I am not going to abide by, because you cannot create a Facebook account and expect me to find your manifesto there, your ideology, because most of the time you only see them with Facebook account to carry on propaganda show, to mismanage, misinform, and disinform people. These are not what I want. A kind of concrete website where I can easily buy your idea, and if I'm going to, or I can easily subscribe or buy your idea. That is where the website account can be. But they only create Facebook account to create a lot of political brouhaha into a country that is not definitely of any solid info. And you also find those things in the library. You see the co-station whatsoever thing, they are on Facebook. And you may see different other things, but we are not asking for Facebook. All of us are using Facebook. We want to have a concrete website where we can easily be informed. And on that, we can easily subscribe to your mentality. If not, let us leave it. But I think, as Kelly rightly said, they have never subscribed, or they are not subscribing to our own mentality, and they want us to subscribe to theirs. So it's a kind of generational challenge that we are definitely not willing to buy all of those things. So I think it is high time, if you want to change me, change yourself first. They think one thing should happen, but you should also be willing to accept change. Unfortunately, they are not doing so. As I think it is high time African youth become very, very conscious on who to elect.
Thank you so very much, folks in cyberspace. This is Focus on Liberia. This is our program, Roundtable Africa, where we look at the issues from the African perspective, hoping that if Africa gets better, every country in Africa will be better. And that is what we do here at Roundtable Africa. Folks, we are about to read your comments here. But before we do, we're going to take a short break. So if you are still with us, we don't want you to go anywhere. We want to read your comments. We want to bring you in to participate. Have your say. Are the opposition political parties in Africa what they're supposed to be to make our democracy competitive? Are they bringing everybody in their fold to their ideology? Do they even have ideologies that are reliable, well articulated, well explained? Do they even have good plans that we can read to know that they are the real deal? Do they even have that? Folks, we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be reading your comments. So please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Oh, that remind me about my little village when I used to pick up the cutlass in the morning, and then I would be going on the farm to call some partners. Sometimes when it's not a school day, I will be running on the farm to chase the birds so that they will not eat the rest. Hey, forgive me, I'm a village boy, and I will not apologize to you anyway because of that. Roundtable Africa, Ansony said, moderating your discussions are here. Let's read your comments here quickly, folks. Let's hear from Sekou A. Kane. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. This is Mr. George Freeman. He said, following from LIB, thank you for joining us. Freeman, again, thanks for the education chief. Liberian people with their chieftain. That is why these guys, when they become political leader, we worship them like gods. Everybody that chief. Anyway, maybe that's our culture, right? But the way we do it sometimes turns me off. Very interesting discussion. That is from Mampoan. Mampoan, powerful name right there. Mampoan again. I'm falling from Mama Liberia, where thieves are celebrated and integrity men are criticized. That is so true. A big fan of Focus on Liberia is watching here from Houston, Texas. I hope all is well there, Seattle. I heard it's been raining and flooding, coming watching from Banga, Liberia. The folks in Banga are watching. Also, let's hear from Boy. Agree, my brother. There are a lot of things we said. Did you agree with all of them? I guess so. Mr. C, I can't support a politician who jumped from one party to another. Somebody is lacking it. Yes, I don't support people who jump from one place to another. That's your right. But when you do that, you embezzle your credibility. How can we minimize or eradicate those negative vices since we now know them? Well, we just have to do it. Another comment here from Boy. Can agree with you more about limited political party. I am on the campaign. In Liberia, I said, let Bush out the thing, let legislate the whole thing, either two political parties or three. Let's put in the constitution. There shall be three political parties in the Republic of Liberia, namely one, two, three. Anybody can join anyone. All right. I mean, maybe for some time. Let's come to this other. Oh, Jimmy Eastman is saying you can't limit the number of parties by establishing criteria that keep then unsubstantiated parties out. I think I hope I've read that right. Thank you there, Jimmy. We so true, Mr. Keller. Multiple parties need control. Liberia political environment is like giving men job to a boy. That is like a saying from JMB. They will affectionately call him. Let me hear from man. See, Liberian lawmakers don't even have website. Tell me about it. The Liberian government official don't have website. Let's hear from that person again. Amara, can you please grade President Bayo's job in Sierra Leone? Sekou, that is a question there. That's a tough one. You have to grade him. We have graded Josh. We are already, even though we are divided. Africa's problem is not about multi parties, but no love for country. Well, we have had people that claim to love the country, so it's not about love. It is about doing what is right. Because I've heard a love story. We have Ellen, she will tell you she loves Liberia. We have Charles Taylor, he will tell you he loves Liberia. But how did they do? Now we have Josh, we had the poster, he had a country I had, right? How is it going for us? So I don't buy that love story. After all, when I read the Bible, I'm not a Bible guy. I mean, Sekou would tell me, but the Bible says something that makes sense. The Bible says faith without work is dead. I paraphrase it, I said love without action, without application is not love. Amara and Sekou, President Weah of Liberia and President Bao of Sierra Leone, who is doing well for his citizens or country in all sectors like security, job, infrastructure, etc. Gentlemen, that's a tough one there for you guys. Let me hear from Siata again, always flooding. Well, Siata, I feel for you, my dear sister. Gentlemen, let me bring you back in. You just listening to our viewers there commenting. Let me start with you, Mr. Amara. They asking you, they want you to grade Bao. Go for it.
That's a very interesting one. Grading President Bio in Sierra Leone.
Not Bao, but Bio. Go ahead. Yeah.
Bio. I think when you watch the Liberia, the phenomenon that is existing now in Liberia compared to Sierra Leone, you may say Sierra Leone is a relatively better one, because President also Bio inherited a kind of government that was as corrupt as that of Liberia, but he has managed to re-establish certain sensitivity and responsibility into the government. One, we have seen how the ACC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, is actively working. A lot of politicians have been arrested and forced to pay back the government money that they actually stole during the time that they were in power for 10 good years. We have seen President Bio came in with a kind of free education system, though it has a lot of challenges, but that have actually opened ground for young people to actually become involved into the education system. And he also make like college education. If you want to enter the first year, he buy the form for you. He does the registration. His government does the registration for him. For you, let me not say he, but his government does the registration for you. Excuse me. When it comes to security, you may understand that Sierra Leone is a little bit security conscious and politically stable compared to Liberia, because we have seen on numerous occasions a lot of volatile situation takes place into Liberia. I'm not saying Sierra Leone does not face our own challenges, but most of the time when it comes to national security, Liberia is a little bit worse compared to that of Sierra Leone. There is a kind of that security stability, and the economy also, when you watch at it on the GDP levels, you see like Sierra Leone is a little bit grading compared to that of Liberia, and there is uniformity into the government, and there is no longer a continuation of what used to happen, because people are actually made to be responsible for what they should be doing. Politicians have been sacked, some have been forced to pay back what they stole from the government, and some can easily be are said to be banned from politics for quite a long time because of their involvement. And then we have seen there's kind of national consciousness into Sierra Leone. When he came into power, he met our natural resources. We are almost the sign of the. Can you imagine this country in the past government? They even went into contract to sign, like with the Chinese company. You sign a century of 100 years contract with the type of company to exploit your natural resources. What do you expect from them? They will exploit everything, and this government came and nullified all of those contracts. So there is national consciousness. Corruption is actually going on, but it's on a limit, and those who are corrupting are actually being prosecuted. And even when it comes to our educational system, a lot of teachers we have found wanting exposing exam question to pupils, we have been caught. Even in colleges, a lot of people have been sacked. So everything have just been, I think there's a kind of body language that is speaking. So in the nutshell,
Sekou, you want to, I mean, not Sekou, but Amara, you want to speak to this quickly? Read that and respond to it quickly.
Amara, any money in the budget for the First Lady, Miss Bio? Liberia had money on the budget for Miss Bio. We are okay. I think yes, there was a kind of question like that was read the other time, because we had the First Lady has an office on her own, and is responsible actually to help the president in the dispensation of some of his duties, and especially those allocated to her. But she have what she cover Hands Off Our Gas program. You know, Sierra Leone, because of the war, we had a lot of rape incidents. We have gun rape and all of those things we are going on, and children, we are even at the age of 10, 12, 11, 13, as the case may be, or teenagers, we are being impregnated. So the First Lady came. There was already a kind of system that is against teenage pregnancy in Sierra Leone, but it was not a kind of active and strong one. So she came in, she rejuvenated the system, empowered it, and a lot of people have been arrested. And there is actually money into the budget, or the First Lady has a way of accumulating money to spend in her office. And those things need to be clearly stipulated. Once there was a kind of BBC radio program that the First Lady is misusing money, but the ACC actually dived into the system. It was being investigated, and they realized that certain amount of money is actually allocated into the budget that is responsible to the First Lady's office. And that money, and whenever it is being utilized, it should be accounted for. All of that investigation was being done. I don't know the amount, but there's a money allocated in our office.
Sekou, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yes, I can't really grade Mother Bio, because I really haven't read much about his administration. I followed the previous administration before him. I used to follow the news and see what was going on there in that country. And since he came in, we've been hearing some positive news, as my co-host just highlighted, that there have been some positive, some criticism also I've seen on social media about his wife and about the spending and all that, and how there have been some mismanagement in the office of the First Lady. We've seen those things, but I cannot give an objective view on it, and I think I will take his word for it that he has, he has some positive impact so far since he came to power. But what I'd like to emphasize is that, somebody asked a question when you were reading out the comment, that how do we change the situation? We already know the problem. We've seen it. We have seen it day by day, and then we have identified it. What's the solution? I said, no, the solution begins with us, those of us in the opposition. We cannot wait until we are in power before we become transparent. The transparency and patriotism begins right in the opposition. If you join a political party, make sure that you are not joining there for personality cults. You are not joining there because of ethnic sentiment. Join there because of their ideology and their policy. And if you join, make sure leaders are held accountable. There should be transparency. Like the CPP right now, right now in Liberia, people are saying, oh, CPP will be better than CDC. I said, we have to know it right now. If CPP will be better than the CDC, we will know it right now, because the transparency and the patriotism they are going to show. how they elect their flag, the party flag bearer, how they comport themselves in the leadership. Where's the transparency? What are the people they put in key leadership position? How does the various candidate answer questions? So if you don't see the transparency right now, don't expect it when they are in the executive mansion. When you see them putting the wrong people in a powerful position, know that they will do worse when they get into power. When they are not answering questions properly, when they are beating around the bush, know that when they get there, they will do worse. If they can't even come together to be transparent and elect somebody to lead the party, they are already fighting from the get-go. They are telling you exactly what they will do when they get into power. So it begins with us. It's not until you are in power. It's not until you are a minister. If you are a young man you are not happy with what is happening to your country, try to educate yourself. Try to understand what politics is. Don't be hungry to be in politics because you want to be rich. That's not where to be rich. If you want to be rich, go into business, look for something else. See governance and public service as a place to render service, patriotic service to the country. It's a place where you go to sacrifice for the nation. Because when people give you a mandate to lead, they want you to act on behalf of the people. They want you to put actions that will be beneficial for the majority, not for your clan, not for your tribe, not for your religious affiliation. It's for the interest of all. So if you have that mindset, if you have that conviction and that training, then you are now ready to serve. So the solution begins with the party, the opposition party right now, not a ruling party, because they are already there. They already have the budget in their hand. Whatever you tell them, they will not listen. They feel that they are now Almighty God sitting on the throne. So they will not listen to you. The people that will listen right now, they are the opposition. They are looking for your vote. They are looking for your vote desperately. Now it's time to hold them accountable and tell them, what's your plan? What's your ideology? What's your website? Why should I vote for you? In fact, if you want me to vote for you, are you not putting your act together? Why is it that your party is not even organized? If you can't organize your house, how do you organize the nation? So this is where you hold them accountable now that they are not in power yet. If you can't do that because they are from your village, if you can't do that, then you are part of the problem.
Sekou, thank you so very much. You couldn't have succinctly answered that question. I have absolutely nothing to add, but I want to contribute to the question one of the viewers asked, looking at Sierra Leone on a matter bill and looking at Liberia on President George Manawia, who is doing better. There are a few things that I know. One is the two gentlemen got elected just about the same time. They took over from administrations that were corrupt. Now, unlike President Weah, Julius Maada Bio immediately embarked on conducting audit of the previous government. Now, the last time I checked, maybe Edward might have some updated numbers. Maada Bio audited the previous government and then was able to retrieve 25 billion leon. Are you hearing me? 25 billion leon. The number might have gone up. That was like almost 2 years ago. When Maada Bio, he went after even the former president. They confiscated government property from former government officials. Have we heard anything like that in Liberia? My answer is no. The Liberian government is yet to announce any amount of government, any amount of money it has been able to retrieve from past government officials that are corrupt. President Weah, in a wisdom, has constituted a group called ARIA, Assets Recovery, Something, and Restitution, headed by Serena Sifos and one Councillor Arthur Johnson. Arthur resigned and said the Liberian government is not serious about fighting corruption. So for the record, we have not heard anything substantive from our government since it started this effort of fighting corruption or auditing, whether they even have audit going on of the past administration, but they will tell you they are doing that. Maybe they did that to Abu Kili because they told him to pay the money back and then they'll pour him on the ticket. So they did that. That's what I know. So if you look at those two alone, it is easier for you to know that Maada Bio is doing well on the issue of audit and fighting corruption in Sierra Leone compared to President George Manawiya. Now, let's talk about leadership, sourcing of funding from the international community. The last time I checked, there's an article I'm looking at dated December 15, 2020. Sierra Leone selected for a 400 million compact grant. Mark that word, grant. Free money was being given to Sierra Leone because of the leadership exhibited and demonstrated by Julius Maada Bio. So, through the compact grant, all right, the men will be given 400 million free money that they don't have to pay back. 400 million. That is almost the budget of Liberia. Have we received anything substantive? No, we have not. All we hear about all this money, 10 million here and there, 10 million here and there, 200 million through USAID, and then our friends are celebrating. When this money were now, I didn't see Sierra Leone celebrating in the streets. So I just wanted to chime in a little bit. There's a lot, but these are the few just to give you an insight that the two leaders, and if you look at the kind of people, the kind of places Maada Bio has been able to go, the kind of program you're talking about education. Edward will tell you, yeah, I think he's building state-of-the-art technical university in Sierra Leone. Edward, please chime in and set the record straight if I'm not getting it right here quickly.
Oh, thank you very much. I think you have done a great job in analyzing some of the developmental program Maada Bio is taking. The Anti-Graft Commission is actually working. He has retrieved from corrupt politicians over 40 billion leos now, and the Anti-Graft Commission is actually active, is independent, and he's even running behind government's active government personnel. And President Maada Bio has no hands into his dealing, and he has the absolute right to indict anybody. And at the same time, as he said, because of the active proactiveness and effectiveness running of the anti-commission or corrupt commission, Sierra Leone has been able to be open to a lot of loans, and they're having grants. And you have seen a lot of other people are willing to invest into the country because they have seen that the Maada Bio-led government is responsible and it is willing to investigate and even punish corrupt officers. Apart from that, even when it comes to security aspect, and I spoke of Israel, is a little bit stable when it comes to security aspect. Whosoever that runs can easily be disciplined. And they have all of those active things over there. And in terms of the education system, trust me, Sierra Leone is striving well to ensure that we revive the education system that lost its glory before this time. We have free education system into Sierra Leone, unlike Liberia. And people who are in college, they are also, most of the colleges, they want to upgrade the Eastern Polytechnic in Kenema to a technical institution. And they also want to open another college in Kono district that will be another university in over there. And above all, the country is just willing to embrace that change. So everybody is just willing. So in the nutshell, Sierra Leone is actually doing compared to that of what is happening to Liberia. Sometimes more, you can even trace the political people that are in power, their background. Oponwea was a celebrity, not too much involved into politics. He may have been involved into any administrative, but not a seasoned politician like that of Sierra Leone. So all of those things are there. But in the nutshell, Maada Bio is performing exceedingly well, and we are hoping that before 5 years complete in 2023, a lot of development might have taken place here, unlike Liberia.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let me read the final comments here so we can get your closing statement here from Florence Scully. These are the people that want to be president of president. You can vote for one of them. The person who will have the highest numbers, that will be the president of Liberia. One, Henry Costa? Really? Liberia? Dr. Kassa? Really? Alexander Cummings? Joseph Boaka? Wow. God bless Liberia. That person ended on that note. Let me hear from this is Eric Peabody. In West Liberia, if you want to move from man to mattress, get involved in politics, not to serve the public, but to loot the nation's resources. Strong comment there. But yeah, from Walu Himi, sorry if I'm butchering your name. President won, I think President, we are behind the auditing group to take bribe from those to be audited. Please take your time to write your comments so that your contribution can be recognized here. Like here from This person, Ferguson writes, President Weah is developing Liberia in the shortest year. Thank God for President Weah, and that's what we want. I hope that is true because we hear some things that are not actually true. Mediocrity has taken over that country, and some people are celebrating nothingness. Well, gentlemen, we have to leave it there. That will be the last comment for the day. Let me come back to you, Mr. Edward Amara. Your closing statement. We discussed the topic opposition political parties in Africa. What's your concluding statement, sir?
Thank you very much. I think it's definitely to we the citizens that are in Africa. We must understand that each time an opposition party comes into power, or you have an opposition party into power who want to come into power, please question their ideology, and you must understand the aims and objectives that they want to implement. If not, vote for them not. An opposition party should not only be there to make they should not only be there to make destructive criticism. We expect them to be involved into national politics, expose their ideology, and involve into developmental process. They shouldn't be people who are chaotic, and they should not be people who will support the youth against the government unnecessarily, because we are expecting them to be what? An alternative government. So if you are not an alternative government, we're expecting you to be a peacemaker, somebody who bridge peace, instead of you come to create unnecessary chaos. And above all, to the citizens, we should understand that our responsibility to join this opposition party is first to understand them and investigate them. And you must understand that some corrupt people can easily come into power to mismanage your affairs. So whatsoever thing we are involved in, let's vet the background of politicians that we may be electing into power, and we should also involve into our democracy, because they say when good citizens do not vote, bad leaders are elected. Nobody should walk out of politics because of bad leadership. It is our responsibility to change the phenomenon. Let us rewrite the history and have a different ideology. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edward Amara. We appreciate you always coming here around Table Africa to do what you do best. Mr. Keller?
Yes. Thank you again, Mr. C. An opposition party should have a clear-cut ideology and a policy to govern. And two important things an opposition party should have. If they don't have it, they shouldn't qualify at all. Transparency and patriotism, apart from the clear-cut ideology and policy to govern. Transparency and patriotism. If you are not transparent now, you will not be transparent tomorrow. And transparency means we know exactly you are accountable to the people that are supporting you in finance, in governance, even how you choose your leadership. Everything should be transparent out there. We look at it and say, yeah, these people, they are men of character, women of character. They have the value, they have the quality to be able to lead. We want to see that value in you before we know this is a government in waiting. The patriotism, you need to love the country. Opposition party is not just to oppose just because you don't like the face of the government of the day, or because they are not allowing you to have $2 in the government. That's why you are opposing. No, patriotism, the country before party. Country before party. You put the national interest first. Never shouldn't be seen opposition parties going to the West looking for country to sanction their government, looking for people to sabotage the security of the country because they don't love the government of the day. You don't love the country. You just want to be in power. So that patriotism is what we need. You have to demonstrate it. We have to see it in you that you are supporting whatever works in the interest of the people. Be there and build together. So you be constructive. When it is not in the interest of the people, then come out and say it. Do not collude or connive with the leaders in government and betray the people and be getting money underneath, and then they shut you up. Then you instead of you providing truth to the people, then you betray the people and connive with the government of the day. Then you call yourself opposition before the media. You are betraying the people. Patriotism and transparency. If you can demonstrate these two things with a clear-cut ideology to govern, then you are the opposition.
Thank you, folks. This is what I have to close with. And these words are just common. And the opposition folks know these words. They know about this statement, but they don't apply it. They are not intentional about it. Opposition parties are a government in the waiting. Do they know that? When you are a government in waiting, you are prepared to start appointing cabinet ministers. Look in your party. Do you have cabinet ministers? Do you have your finance minister who is better than Samuel Tuer? What work is that finance minister doing right now? Your prospectus finance minister. We're crying about agriculture. You are a government in waiting, and not only a government in waiting, an alternative government. Do you have somebody better than Tuer? Because he's practically useless. We have an agriculture minister that can't get it together. Do you have somebody that will get it together? Because you are an alternative government. Do you have a public work minister who will get it together? Because the one we have right now giving small contract to friends, paving substandard roads, it's not going to qualify our country. Do you have men and women, boy enough, qualified, vibrant, who have the tenacity to be able to run the ministry effectively without dancing to the whims and caprices of the president? Do you have those people? Check among yourself. If you check and you are honest to me, you don't have them. You are not even making the effort to find them. All you're doing is just posting on Facebook. We are the next government. This person feeling winning. I don't want to hear that nonsense. Get prepared. Act like you are a government in waiting. Be intentional. Take into consideration the suffering of the people. Try to change that. How do you do that? It starts with a plan. As a government, you must have a plan. As a government in waiting, do you have a plan? But this is why we see, Sekou, opposition political parties have proven to be just undemocratic as the government that they criticize. If you criticize the political leader, I guarantee you, you're not getting job. We see that with the CDC. People who had dissenting views in the CDC today are not in government. Why did they criticize George Weah? So they are not in government today. The opposition is doing the very thing. Somebody in the army is doing something wrong. They don't want to criticize that person because the person is a big man. And finally, gentlemen, the opposition is suffering enormously from the phenomena of factionalism and fragmentation. The CPP comes to mind. These people are fragmented. They can't get it together. They are fighting among themselves. Sekou, you know it. This is a recipe for chaos. ANC folks at Unity Party folks' throat and vice versa. This is all we see. Does they project to us that you are the alternative? And worst of all, when you ask them for plan, say, oh, Unity Party got a plan, we got our plan. But you say you are a unit. You say you are fee one ticket. Give us a consolidated plan. 2 years into the game. Give us 2-year plan. They can't give it to us. But they created a plan, Sekou, that bind them together. And in that plan, what do we see? How do we divide jobs? So from there, we know that these guys are like the CDC folks coming to share jobs. Folks, I can't explain it to you and make it simple. This is what I do. And I do it with the mindset that I want what is right for Liberia and not actually who is right for Liberia. Because if we try on this part of who is right for Liberia, we'll continue to have political godfathers, and that's what we get today. And he has not taken us anywhere. It will not take us anywhere. Gentlemen, Roundtable Africa, we will be back here next Wednesday for another exciting edition. And this is what we do. We do it, and we do it better. Well, I don't want to blow my horn. Oh, these guys are the guys doing the talking. Gentlemen, thank you so very much. Folks, we'll catch you next time. On that note, the song that takes us on always is called We Are All Liberians. And for some of you who don't know, Edward Amara is a Liberian in Sierra Leone. He is our ambassador. Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you, folks, for listening. Bye-bye, folks.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Allah.